Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to walk you through the body of chapter 9. In this chapter we'll be setting up company information for a service business that's transitioning into Sage 50 from another accounting system. The previous system provided us with a balance sheet showing all the company's asset, liability, and equity balances at the point of transition. We'll use that information to create the company in Sage. We'll be setting up the chart of accounts and entering those beginning balances so the books are accurate and ready to go from day one. The scenario for this chapter is a sole proprietorship owned by a designer and educator. That's you. Your company will earn income from designing projects, book royalties, and part-time teaching at a local community college. After I demonstrate how to set everything up, you'll get the chance to do something similar in your end of chapter exercise where you'll create and set up another new company using the same process. So let's get started by creating the new company in Sage 50. So I'm on the landing page once you open up the software, and what I want to do here is click Create a New Company. So here we have a little wizard that's going to guide us through these steps, and this is just introducing it. So I'm going to hit Next. On page 259 of the textbook, it gives us some details to enter for the address and the company name. You're not going to use James Crosby Designer, you're going to use your own name here. So fill out this information. So as you go through and enter this information, make sure from the drop down here for the business type you select sole proprietorship, because that will have an impact on the equity accounts that we see later in the process when we set up the chart of accounts. Once you're done, hit the next button. So here we're deciding how the chart of accounts is going to be created, and we're going to go with the default option of use a sample business type that closely matches your company. So even though this company that we're setting the books of did have another accounting software, which I would probably, if I could, take the chart of accounts from that other accounting software and bring it into here, the book is actually having us use a sample company to make some edits to the chart of accounts. So we'll roll with that. Hit Next. So here we're seeing the business type. We have these simplified types. The default choice is service company, and that's what we're going to go with. But there are a lot of other business types listed out here, more detailed types down below. And if you select these different choices, you'll see different accounts in the chart of accounts. But once again, we're going to select service company. We're going to see these 4-digit account numbers here, and then we'll hit Next. So here we're deciding whether the company is using the accrual basis of accounting or the cash basis of accounting, and that has to do with when they recognize revenues and expenses, and we're going to select accrual basis and hit Next. So on this next screen we're seeing an option to choose a posting method, either real-time or batch. If we select real-time, that means that every transaction, like invoices, payments, journal entries, are posted to the account immediately as soon as you save the transaction. So the financial statements are always up to date. Batch posting, on the other hand, means that the transactions are held in a pending state until someone manually posts them all at once. Some larger organizations use batch posting for extra review or approval before things hit the books, but for most small businesses and for our purposes in this class, real-time posting makes things simpler and keeps your reports current. So we're going to keep it at that and then hit Next. So our next screen is asking us to choose an accounting period structure. So we're talking about the fiscal year here and how the company organizes that, and that's set up. So most small businesses use a 12 monthly accounting periods per year and use the calendar year, and that's what we're going to select here and hit Next. So here we're going to select the first period of the fiscal year, and just to make sure that everything matches up with the book a little closer, we are now able to select the same dates as the text. So we are going to follow the screenshot on page 262 and go with January of 2019 and then hit Next. So now we've reached the end of the wizard, and now we're going to hit that Finish button and give the software a moment or two to create our company. So the hypothetical situation in the book is that we're setting up the Sage accounting system for our business as of the beginning of October of 2019. So what we need to do here is click on this button in the top right that says the period number is 10 on my screen right now. I'm going to click on that. Actually, I double clicked on it. And what I want to make sure is that it is showing the month of October here. And if it's not, then you can come in here, you can select whatever month, but we want to select the month of October. So the 10th month of 2019, and then click OK. So up here it should say October 1st through October 31st, 2019. So now in the navigational menu, I'm going to select business status. And then here I'm going to select view account list. So now we're going to go through and we're going to set up the chart of accounts according to our needs. The first thing that the text asks us to do is to open up the record for this account called the allowance for doubtful accounts. It's a contra asset to our accounts receivable, so I'm going to double click on it, and we're actually going to remove this account from our system. So we're going to hit the delete button, and once I do that I get this little pop-up and I'm going to say yes, I do want to delete it. So the screen cleared, and what I'm going to do next is on page 268 they ask us to delete several accounts, and to find them here, if I click on the drop down, I can find the account number quickly. So the first one in the table on page 268 is sales tax payable, so I'm going to find that and just repeat the process. We're going to delete that as well as all the others on that screen. I'd suggest that you pause the video here and just go through and delete each of those accounts listed on page 268. So once you have those accounts deleted, now you're going to make some edits to some existing accounts. So the first one they ask us to make an edit to is account number 3920. So to find it, you can click on the drop down, otherwise you can just type it into this account ID field. And there we see it's currently labeled as owner's contribution. So I'm going to select that. So we're going to rename this account to your name, comma, capital. This is an owner's equity account. It represents the owner's investment into the business as well as all the retained profits. And for the account type, this is important. It is an equity account, but this is a permanent equity account, so it doesn't get closed out at the end of the fiscal year. So we're going to click on this drop down and change that to equity doesn't close. And then to save the name change and the account type change, we'll hit the save button. And then on page 270 of our textbook, they ask us to make several different changes to our accounts that are already in the system. It looks like all of these changes are just to the names of the accounts, not to the account type. So the first one in the list on page 270 is account number 1010, so I can just type that here. Oh, looks like I didn't save that one, so I'm going to make sure that I do. From here I can find account 1010 and change its name according to the book. It looks like it's the money market account. And then hit save, and then just move on down that list. Make all those edits. I'd suggest that you pause the video and do that, and then we'll come back and do the rest of the changes in chapter 9. On that page 270 with those accounts that we're changing the names of, I did want to mention another one real quickly here. The owner's draw account, which is account number 3930, says to change it to James Crosby draw. I wanted to change it to your name, comma, draw. And also the account type, it should default to equity gets closed. The drawing account tracks the owner's withdrawals during a specific period of time, so it is a temporary account. It does get closed, so make sure that your account type is equity gets closed. So the next thing we're going to do is add some new accounts to the chart of accounts. To do that, in this maintain chart of accounts window, click on the new button. That'll clear out the screen. And what we're going to do here is set up the new account. This is described on page 270 of the book, and it looks like the account number is going to be 1040, so we put that in for the account ID. And it doesn't exist, so I'm just going to click OK. And then the description is going to be the account name. It's going to be IRA savings account. And then the account type is a drop-down list here, and these are all the different account types that are inside of the Sage system here. And this is really important because the account type, when we specify that for a particular account, that determines which financial statement the account will appear on. And once I clicked in this drop down, you'll notice that I get a little window that pops up and sort of describes the different fields here too, and that's helpful sometimes if you're stuck. But this is really important to make sure that you're correcting the correct account type. And the IRA account is going to be set up as a cash type of account. So I'm all set with this. So now I'm going to click Save and New. And then on page 272, the book asks us to create several new accounts. When you do that, make sure that you pay close attention to the account type and do not use the default type of cash unless the specific instructions tell you that. It looks like only one of the accounts is going to be set up as a cash type of account on that table on page 272. So pause the video for a minute, give yourself some time to create those new accounts. So once you've entered those accounts that we're creating from page 272, you can close out of this Maintain Accounts window as well as the account list. And now I'm going to have you look at a report that's going to show all of the accounts in the chart of accounts right now. So go to the Reports and Forms drop down, select the General Ledger category, and here we're going to double click on the chart of accounts report to open that up. When you look at the chart of accounts, you're going to see that the business is using a system where the asset accounts all are in the 1,000 range, the liability accounts in the 2,000 range, equity in the 3,000 range, income accounts in the 4,000 range, cost of goods sold in the 5,000 range, and expense accounts are in the 6,000 and 7,000 range. And when you're sort of scanning these and comparing, what you can look for is sort of a pattern with that. And I purposely made a mistake here, but although it was a mistake that I could find myself easily making, and not changing that default type. And just because you're doing manual data entry, it's pretty easy to zone out and make a mistake with that. So you scan through these lists and you see, oh, here's a cash account in the middle of our expense account. That doesn't make sense. It's a 6,000 account. Look at the name of it, internet service provider. That sounds like an expense. That should be an expense account. So to correct that mistake that I made, I'm going to close out of this report for a moment and then go back into the business status area, click on View Account List, and then I can find that internet service provider account here. The cash account should be an expense. I'm going to double click on it, and now I can make that edit. I can change the account type to expenses. Oops. And then I can save it. So now when I look back at my chart of accounts, I can see that it's changed over to the correct account type. And pause the video for a minute, take a look at your chart of accounts and compare it against this one. They should be matching up. Having a clean, well-organized chart of accounts is really important because it forms the foundation of your entire accounting system. A clear chart of accounts makes it easier to record transactions accurately, generate meaningful reports, and understand how the business is performing without having to dig through confusing or redundant account numbers. So I'm going to close out of this report as well as the report chooser. We shouldn't have to make any changes to our global options for a company, but just want to mention it just in case, so I want you to check. So go to options and then select global. Make sure that your decimal entry is set to manual, that the number of decimal places is set to 2 for all these different field choices, that the boxes are unchecked for the hide general ledger accounts from all 3 of these boxes should be unchecked. And if you had to make any changes there, make them and then click OK to save them. So the scenario here is that we are transitioning the company over from a different accounting system into Sage as of October 1st. And we have a balance sheet that's provided to us on pages 283 and 284 that represent the books as of the opening of October there. And we're going to be now putting those beginning balances into the system. But before we do that, we need to change the period number. So I'm going to double click in the top right here where it says period 10. I'm going to change that to September, period 9. Then click OK, and I should see now September's detail showing up here, period 9, September 1st to September 30th. The reason why we have to do that is because the balances provided to us on the balance sheet are as of October 1st, and if we had set it up as the period being October, the system would put those balances in as of the end of October as opposed to the beginning of October. So if we want them to show up at the beginning of October, we actually need to select the previous period because the system will put them in as of September 30th, which will make them the balances as of October 1st. So to enter these beginning balances from the drop-down menu, we're going to select Maintain, and then we're going to select Chart of Accounts, and then we're going to click on Account Beginning Balances. So here we're going to select the period to enter the beginning balances, and once again we're going to select the month of September of 2019. So from September 1st through September 30th, and then click OK. So we're going to grab the data from the balance sheet on page 283, and we're just going to type in the balances from that balance sheet. So the first one was account number 1010, which is our money market account. And per the book, it had a balance of 10,700 on that date, and I just work my way through the list. When we encounter accounts that aren't listed on that balance sheet in the book, such as accounts receivable, we're going to enter the balance as 0 there. And it just leaves this field blank. So that's fine, but just make sure that you're not just working directly from the list, because we're going to have some extra accounts that don't have balances on that balance sheet. So once you've completed entering all of those account balances from that balance sheet, what you should see here when you look at the totals here is that the totals on both sides are matching the same amount, and then this trial balance difference shows as 0. If you don't see a difference of 0 here, you've made a mistake somewhere. So make sure you're seeing a 0 before you save this. And then I would also suggest going through and just triple checking everything from that beginning balance sheet against what you've entered here. If you make a mistake here, we can correct it through a correcting journal entry in the general journal afterward, but it just gets a little bit messier if you make a mistake with this. So please double or triple check all your entries, and then also make sure that this difference is showing as 0. And to save these beginning balances, all we have to do is click the OK button. At this point, I do suggest that you make a backup of your company file just in case we have some catastrophic problem later on in the class. So to do that, remember, click File and then Backup, and then follow the prompts. Make sure when you save the backup, you click on this drop down where it says Save In, and you save it to a location that's easy for you to find, like Downloads, Desktop, or Documents. Also be sure to give the file a descriptive name, something like the end of chapter 9 or whatever the text asks us to do, but just something that you'll know that this is what it is. And actually, end of chapter 9 wouldn't be that great because there's 2 companies in chapter 9, so it'd probably be, your name, designer. So I'd call it Brian Daly, designer, end of chapter 9. Once you've saved your backup, there are 2 reports that I want you to submit related to this designer company for chapter 9 to show that you watched the video and followed along. And the reports are going to be a chart of accounts report as well as a balance sheet report. So to do that, click on Reports and Forms. For the chart of accounts, we're going to go to the General Ledger category and double click on the chart of accounts report. And once again, make sure that your chart of accounts matches up with what you see on screen here, especially the account types. That's where I find that students make a lot of errors. I see a lot of cash accounts when you aren't paying attention to that detail, which is easy to do. And to make the PDF of this, click on the PDF button, and then remember to save that file in a location that's easier for you to locate, such as Desktop, Downloads, or Documents. Going back to the report chooser, I'm also going to ask you to run the beginning of the period balance sheet here. So that's going to be under financial statement category, and up at the top here we have our balance sheet, so double click on that. And as long as you set the current period to the month of September, you should be good here. With respect to the date, I do not want the zero amounts shown, so make sure that the box checked is unchecked for show zero amounts, and then click OK. And here we have our beginning balance sheet, which matches the one that's in the book that we use to enter the beginning balances. Once again, make a PDF report of this and submit it on Canvas. There are going to be a total of 4 reports that I want from Chapter 9. The other 2 are going to come from the company that you set up in the end of chapter exercises. When you're ready to transition from the designer company to the end of chapter exercises, you close out of this report, close out of the report chooser. What you want to do is you want to click File and then Close Company. That'll get you back to the landing screen, and here you would create a new company, and then you're going to walk through the wizard. You're going to follow the instructions starting on page 298 of the text. Make sure you take some time with respect to the chart of accounts, especially setting up the correct account types, making sure that the time periods are set up correctly, and then also entering those beginning balances correctly and making sure that that difference shows as 0, and then just triple checking your balances against the balances from the given balance sheet in the book before you save those beginning balances.